For the last several years, the last 8 years, I got to know Mr. Freddie Davis, not only as his associate pastor, but also as his friend. We were part of the Gideons together, which helped handed out Bibles to hotels and motels, as well as college distributions like Mount Olive. Um, but after a while, Mr. Freddie was no longer able to drive after Avis had passed away. And when asked if someone would pick him up and bring him to church on Sundays and Wednesdays, I gladly volunteered. And it was during those times that I got to hear some great stories from the stud from Stedman. Stories like how he served in the military, how he had a love for motorcycles, and of course for cutting hair. Mr. Freddie would just glow if you ever asked him about flying. He would say that it was safer than driving. And I remember stories of him saying that he would fly back and forth from Sault Ste. Marie to his family's farm in Stedman, and how he and Avis and Penny would work at the pizza place that they owned, and he even had a gear shifter for an airplane. It was good times that he always had stories to tell. You could hear about stories from Mr. Freddie growing up with mutes and even trying to sign with them. Mr. Freddie cared about everyone, regardless of race or background. And oftentimes, I remember when I would pick him up for church, he would be out putting up the American flag, and you could just see him gazing at Old Glory, just flapping in the wind. He would say about times when he was a young kid on how on like Saturdays he'd go into town, he'd watch a movie with his friends, and then he'd catch the train on the way back home to get back home before dark. He said that he was the only one that could make his aunt chuckle. And one of the things he'd often say is that one time someone came up to him and said, "You're a Christian, aren't you?" And to which he replied, "Yes. How did you know?" And they would say, "It's written all over your face." And Mr. Freddie was a devout Christian to our church, and we're very thankful for that. One time in Michigan, his last winter in Michigan, he said that during a huge snowstorm, that the city came and asked to use his equipment, and Mr. Freddie told Avis that he wasn't going to stay in the cold for another winter. At which her reply was, "When are we leaving?" And one thing that always impressed me with Mr. Freddie is even with all of his success, he wasn't too fancy. In fact, his favorite ice cream flavor was still vanilla. He loved Avis, he loved his kids, he loved Hardee's, and he loved his Lord. And I was grateful to be his friend. He will be missed, but he is with his Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, because he turned from his sins. He asked Jesus to be his Savior, and he trusted his Lord. And he would ask if you would do the same. And I just thank you for this opportunity to give some short memories about Mr. Freddie. And thank you so much. God bless.